love you and you love them, then it reduces the pressure of trying to impress or trying to take or trying to, because if you give something to someone and it doesn't work out, don't feel like a, I don't know, piece of shit or something like that.
Yeah.
Right.
It's just like, okay, it didn't work out. But if you have the pressure of, oh, I want it to succeed because it will mean that and that and that or something like that, then you have even more pressure, on yourself. So before NG, what I was another fun story. I don't know if I told you that or not, but it was a similar thing to the live demo talk.
Right.
But that was the first time because it was like in 2015, and I prepared for like 2 months. I collected quirks about Angular
Okay.
and funny images to show, like memes and all that stuff.
Yeah.
And I gathered like 12 of my friends who were Angular developers in one of my friends' home. We did barbecue, and then I did the ng wet like test run,
Okay.
like with the TV.
Yeah.
So I had like 5 minutes or something like that originally, or 10 minutes, something. Oh, 10 minutes. Actually, I originally 5 minutes because it was a lightning talk, and Dave Geddes wrote me, hey, I submitted like or I uploaded a YouTube video with me like being excited about ng-conf. So
Okay.
they left from, like, they found it funny, so they said, okay, want to see more of you, so we give you an extra 5 minutes. So I said, okay, cool.
Awesome. Yeah.
So I have 10 minutes. So I did the test run with my friend, 10 minutes. So I'm doing a joke. The first joke, silence. Second joke, no.
Oh.
Third joke, like all my killer material
Yeah.
was falling flat. So they looked at me after I was done and they were like, when's your talk? And I said, next week. And they said, good luck, man.
Oh no.
That was the response. Like,
Yeah.
and I said, oh, okay. Now I have 1 week to completely rewrite everything to make it work. It's even more pressure because
Right.
I thought I had like some, so I just went over the memes and I asked them like which memes are funnier than others, because the memes are funny.
Yeah.
But the jokes were like too complicated. It was like trying to like showing like a weird, like complicated example, code example, and they got lost and confused, so they haven't had chance to, it wasn't simple enough.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I took that lessons, and on the plane I flew with my friends who hosted us for the barbecue here. So I flew with him, and on the plane I used him as a guinea pig
Okay.
to test what works and what not. So I got into characters and started like playing and started like
I'm sure that was an entertaining flight.
exactly all around us,
Yeah.
So every time he left, I like mark it, okay, this works, okay, that. But just one person who is Israeli, and this was my first time in the States.
Oh wow. Added pressure.
Yeah, and coming from a different culture with different maybe humor
Right.
and
Some uncertainty there.
accent, like not that good of an English,
Oh, am I good enough for this? Yeah.
and the imposter syndrome.
Yeah.
And if I'm not funny enough,
Yep.
everybody will hate me, and all that pressure. And so I again like worked on trying to prepare it, and I had two voices in my head. One, the imposter voice saying you're not good enough, everybody will hate you, you're going to fail,
Yeah.
like all these like sayings. And I had another voice saying, you're gonna kill it, they're not ready for you, they're not ready for the energy that you're going to bring. Like those two voices are like fighting in my head.
Yeah.
And I kept like alone. My friend who flew with me saw me pacing all the way back and forth in the room, like talking to myself, like fighting with the voices of pressure, and like keep reminding myself, okay, all your friends, everything is cool, you're with your friends, you're going to have fun, okay, you're going to enjoy, focus on enjoying the moment, and I had no idea if the jokes are going to work. So I had prepared the sound effects of laughter just in case a
Nice.
joke, right? A joke
Yeah.
wouldn't work. I would just hit play and it will
Like
play.
a live studio audience.
Yeah,
something.
exactly. And
Yeah.
people are like, ah. So I actually tested with another Israeli friend who's like last minute, like submitted a talk and got accepted for the community talks. Ori Goldstein was like the NG Jesus guy.
Nice.
So he was sitting on the floor in my room like the night before. On the morning I need to give a talk. The night before he was the second person I tested the talk, and he was like, he didn't laugh, but he had a grin
Okay.
Yeah.
on his face in the end of like my test run with him, and he was like smiling, and I said, well, just in case I have this like sound effect,
Right.
if they won't laugh, I will just play it and then move to the second joke or something like that. And he looked at me and said, you won't need it, it will work.
Nice.
Nice.
But it's another Israeli. What
Yeah.
else do I
Yeah.
say? No.
Yeah.
So so the next day arrived, and the adrenaline rose
Right.
and rose and rose, and I kept like getting pumped up. I couldn't sleep the entire night. I took like Red Bull, and I
Gives
remember
you
like
wings.
That's what I've heard.
I went to the hall, to the conference room, and they got me mic'd. From the I almost slapped the guy like the older guy. Like it's from the
So nervous.
yeah,
Just
from
jerking. Yeah.
yeah. So he surprised me. So I got mic'd up, and I'm going up on stage, and Frosty is standing next to me, and I'm connecting like the HDMI.
Yeah.
And trying to like play. I had a video to play in the beginning, just the excitement video. I'm excited about
Yeah.
ng-conf. And I'm trying to get it ready and to put all the things. And Frosty linked to me because I want to get it started, and said, "Are you ready? Are you ready? Are you ready?" Like
Yeah.
bugging me.
Yeah.
And I stopped and looked at him. I was born ready.
Nice.
And he looked at me with the face of like, "What are you in an 80s movie?
Yeah,
What,
yeah.
what are you saying?" Anyway, so I remember I plugged it in, and I played the video, and it was playing, and I kept saying to myself, okay, these are your friends. Like, you're here to give them a good experience, and to have fun.
Yeah.
And not like to reduce the pressure. But I had a script, so I written a script,
Okay.
not to go over and stuff.
Yeah.
And I kept saying to myself, don't ask them how they feel. Because I usually start my talk, how are you feeling?
Right.
So I had this voice in loops. Don't ask them how they feel. Don't ask them, just start with the script. Don't ask them how they're feeling. And the video stops, and I start talking. And the first thing I say is, hey guys, and I forgot English.
Oh no.
Because of all of the adrenaline and pressure,
Yeah.
I had a blackout. So all the things that I was afraid of judging me, of messing it up on the start, because the first impression is the lasting impression, right? If you start bad, that's it. You just like killed your entire routine. So I started the worst. Like I started like how, and I forgot English. I forgot how to say how are you feeling or how is everybody. Like it got mixed up.
Yeah.
So I was like, how are, how is, like 700 people look silence.
Wow.
Looking at me like, what are you like?
Yeah. Who is this guy? Yeah.
Yeah, you have a problem. Like,
Yeah.
and I'm like, how is or how are? This is how I start my talk. And everybody looking at me. And then I use like a trick I learned from stand-up and improv. Let's restart, okay?
Okay.
So I just like, okay, so let's restart. Hey, I'm Shai Reznik, and just restarted the talk with like the energy. And so people thought it was on purpose.
Okay.
But it wasn't.
Yeah.
So people left because they thought, oh, I'm just like playing a joke or something like that.
Added to the humor.
That's actually something you're good at.
What, like
not to distract too much from your story, but this whole time it's like I couldn't tell what ng-conf or organizers were when they're messing up. and when they're not, because you and Alyssa were like always doing gags about messing up.
Turning it into a joke.
Yeah, that's improv, by the way.
Yeah.
Improv is all about leveraging the mistake
Right.
to make it on purpose. Like,
Yeah.
oh, of course, because in improv you always like clashing ideas,
Right.
and people bring their own ideas, and you always have mistakes. For example, I call you Jim, okay, just as like I make your name up as we go. So I say, hey, Jim, come here, and then after a while, someone else calls you because he didn't listen, calls you, I don't know, Joe. So the audience know that your name is Jim, but he called you Joe. So I can correct it with Joe Jim. Come, like
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
not a mistake, right?
Yeah.
It's like part of the
show.
show.
Right.
So this is what we did with the MC. Like every
Okay.
time, Alyssa thought there was a speaker coming, but it was a video playing.
Okay.
So I just like ran after her, like I went after her and did the same mistake
Okay.
on purpose, just to make it a routine on purpose. Like people would think
And
that,
we couldn't tell.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it was fun.
yeah.
So kind of what I'm getting out of this then is that it's a lot of in your head. Like you've got to change your mindset. I think when you're going into any situation, there's always going to be energy, excited energy, anxious energy. You can either choose to make that nervous and get into that deep, dark place, or you can spin it like you did and say, you know what, these are my friends, and I'm going to give them value out of this. I'm going to teach them something. So you spun that, and instead of making it selfishly about you, it was about who's in the audience, who am I presenting to, and just like you said, pretending like they're your friends. So that's one thing I'm getting out of it, is just your mindset.
And by the way, I saw before, so an additional thing that I also use myself and also teach other speakers, like in my meta group or even here in ng-conf with my friends, is that I saw a TED lecture years ago that talks about fear and adrenaline and like stress, and how like the angle you can take on it, like or perspective on stress. If you remind yourself that the stress is actually sharpening your senses and making you much more focused and much more like alert, it's actually an advantage, because you can respond faster to stuff, and your mind acts faster and you remember better, so you can actually flip the script on stress. And I saw like 3 people in this ng-conf stressed, really stressed in the green room, and I told them the same advice. Like I asked, how are you feeling? Stressed. They answered, stressed. I said, good, because it sharpened your senses. And like I told them the same thing, and you could see their shoulders like lowered down, like and they told me afterwards that helped. I spoke with Sarah before she went out, and because we spoke like a day before and prepared, like I told her that I might invite her, to play. I didn't tell her like what she would do to keep it a surprise, but all the other speakers, all the veterans, Ward Bell as well, and myself as well, when my time came up, I started getting nervous. No matter how many years I've been doing this. So all of us get nervous before. So I think like with Sarah, I think because she's coming from, she's a Vue core team member, and she's like from React, and from, she didn't know how the Angular community will accept her. And I think she mentioned it in her talk where she is. So I went backstage and I told her, all of the people in the audience are your friends. You're part of the family now. So just to give the same perspective, right? That I go up with when I told her, I'm sure I don't need to give you any advice or anything. She's much more experienced than me. I just want to light it up, because I saw that like every one of us, including myself, she was stressed, and everybody was stressed before their talk.
Yeah.
It's always adrenaline. And I told her, like, you're one of us. And